Good morning. Time for another short record story. This one involves my former coworker, Bess. She was stereotypical little old lady. She was adorable. The kind of little old lady that wore white gloves to church. I worked with her for about 6 years. Bess had come to our store from a downtown store in Dallas called Melody Shop, which was a Dallas institution. She had worked at Melody Shop for probably close to 40 years. And then Melody Shop got taken over by different owners. They let her go because they wanted to cultivate a younger clientele. There was a newspaper story about it and everything, and my boss read it, and she hired Bess. Bess knew everything about any kind of music. She was amazing. My favorite Bess story is, it was just me and her in the store one day, and I was busy alphabetizing 45s. These two metalheads come in. They're looking around and making these snide comments about all these fucking hippie records. Little Bess goes up to them and says, "Hello, gentlemen. May I help you find something?" She had a little cartoon mouse voice. And one of the guys just kind of, sneered and said, "You got any Metallica?" And Bess turned around and went to the ends, pulled out 2 records, and said, she brought them back to the guys and said, "Here's a 12-inch single of Enter Sandman, and this one's Garage Days Revisited. It's very popular with young men your age." And they just both stared at her, amazed. And she started talking about James Hetfield. And they were just stunned. And I have to admit, it even surprised me how much she knew about Metallica. And needless to say, they bought the records. Every time they would come back afterwards, they would ask to speak to Miss Bess. And Bess used to tell us stories about her years at Melody Shop. In the late 50s and early 60s, one of her regular customers was Jack Ruby, who at that time, before he killed Lee Harvey Oswald, he owned some clubs downtown, always with a string of dancers and everything. He would come in and buy record players and records for his, as Bess called them, his floosies. And she would say, "Mr. Ruby was always so nice to me. He would give me tips. I just never believed all those bad things they said about him." Bess was just great. She was in her late 70s, I think, when she worked at Collectors. And so she eventually had to retire because she was having too many physical problems from being on her feet all those years. We all missed her a lot. She was wonderful. That's my story about Bess and Jack Ruby and Floosies and Metallica. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.